Welcome to our deep dive on survival skills.
Ooh, survival skill.
We've got a whole stack of articles and resources here.
Wow.
All about thriving when things get tough.
Right.
You've shared some sources that hint at wanting to go beyond just the basics.
Yeah.
We're talking military-grade evasion tactics, wilderness survival, even navigating urban disasters.
Okay.
So let's dive in and see what we can unearth.
Sounds good.
You never know when this knowledge might come in handy.
Yeah, you're right. The sources you've selected definitely go beyond just building a campfire.
Right.
And one thing that jumps out at me is how much emphasis is placed on mental toughness.
Okay.
You know, it's not just about the physical skills.
Oh, that's interesting. So
Yeah.
it's more about having the right mindset
Exactly.
than knowing how to, say, tie a fancy knot.
Yeah. Take the survival, evasion, resistance, and escape training,
Okay.
or SEER training for short.
Okay.
That's mentioned in the ACK3 excerpts.
Right.
They put soldiers through incredibly stressful simulations,
Oh, wow.
like hostage situations,
Really?
to develop that unbreakable mindset.
Uh-huh.
It really highlights how crucial mental resilience is in survival.
Okay, so we're talking about staying cool under pressure.
Yes.
But how do you actually train for that?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't exactly have access to military simulations.
Well, the sources offer some practical techniques that anyone can use.
Okay.
The rule of threes, for example,
Okay.
is a simple but effective way to prioritize in emergencies.
Okay.
You have 3 minutes without air,
Okay.
3 hours without shelter,
Got it.
3 days without water,
Uh-huh.
and 3 weeks without food.
Wow. That puts things into perspective.
Yes.
It really makes you realize that shelter should be like a top priority.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's what military training emphasizes.
Okay.
Quick, decisive action
Uh-huh.
based on a clear understanding of priorities. Another military concept that stood out to me is the OD loop.
The OD loop.
Observe, orient, decide, act.
Okay.
It's mentioned in several sources,
Okay.
like advanced strategies and essential skills in combat.
The OD loop, I'm not familiar with that.
Okay,
Is it something we can apply to everyday life?
absolutely.
Okay.
It's all about taking a moment to observe and assess the situation.
Okay.
Orient yourself within that context.
Well,
Decide on the best course of action,
right.
and then act decisively.
Got it.
It's particularly helpful in survival situations where panic can lead to poor decisions.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like taking a breath before reacting.
Exactly.
So you don't make things worse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we've got the mental game down.
Right.
But what about the actual skills?
Well, the sources are packed with practical advice,
Okay.
starting with the essentials: shelter building,
Right.
fire starting, water purification.
Yeah.
But even with these classic skills, there are some surprising twists.
Like using cattails for cleaning your teeth.
Right.
I read that in the Outdoors with Bear Grylls article.
Uh-huh.
Never would thought of that.
It's all about resourcefulness.
Yeah.
And that's a key takeaway from these sources.
Okay.
Being able to adapt and improvise,
Uh-huh.
using whatever is available.
Right.
Sometimes it's the unexpected details that can make all the difference.
Okay.
For example, Outdoors with Bear Grylls also mentioned using urine on a hat to
Oh.
cool down in extreme heat.
Okay. I might have to draw the line at that one.
Okay.
But I see your point.
Yeah.
It's about thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
And using whatever you have to your advantage.
Right.
Even if it seems a little unconventional.
Exactly.
And remember, these skills aren't just for wilderness survival.
Right.
Imagine a power outage during a storm.
Uh-huh.
Knowing how to build a basic shelter
Yeah,
or start a fire could be invaluable.
absolutely.
That's so true.
Yeah.
It's easy to take those things for granted until you're in a situation where you actually need them.
Right.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the military expertise we see in some of these sources.
Right.
Things like escape and evasion tactics
Yeah.
and handling hostage situations.
Okay.
These are extreme scenarios, of course,
Yeah.
but the principles behind them can be applied to other situations.
Right.
The Survival Skills in Military Training article dives deep into these tactics,
Uh-huh.
and it's fascinating how they emphasize situational awareness and strategic thinking.
Yeah.
So it's not just about brute force,
Exactly.
but about using your brain to assess risks and outmaneuver your opponent,
Right.
whether it's a hostile person or challenging environment.
Right. And teamwork plays a huge role as well.
Yeah.
The case studies from the Afghanistan War in the Essential Skills in Combat article show how crucial communication and coordination are in those high-pressure situations.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
In those life or death scenarios, you need to be able to rely on your team and work together effectively.
And it's not just about surviving.
Okay.
It's about completing the mission,
Right.
whatever that mission may be.
Okay.
These soldiers used their knowledge of the terrain,
Okay.
not just for navigation, but for tactical advantage.
Uh-huh.
Things like using natural resources for shelter
Right.
and understanding how to conceal themselves effectively.
Got it.
It's a whole other level of thinking.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Seems like there's a lot we can learn from how the military approaches survival, even if we're not planning on enlisting anytime soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The principles of adaptability, resilience, and problem solving under pressure are valuable in any challenging situation.
Right.
And speaking of problem solving, let's talk about technology's role in survival.
Okay, so on one hand, we've got GPS devices,
Yeah,
satellite phones, things that can be lifesavers in a tough spot.
right.
But I've also read that relying too much on technology can be a bad thing.
That's a key point raised in the Advanced Strategies article.
Okay.
Technology can fail.
Uh-huh.
Batteries can die.
Right.
Signals can be lost.
Okay.
Even when it works, knowing how to use it effectively is critical.
Right.
Yeah.
We were talking about the role of technology in survival
Yes.
and how it can be a double-edged sword.
It can.
Yeah.
The 25 Essential Skills article
Okay.
made a great point about this.
Yeah.
It's all about using technology as a tool
Right.
to enhance your existing skills,
Ah.
not as a crutch to replace them.
Right.
You still need that solid foundation of
Totally.
knowledge and practical abilities.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like having a fancy GPS unit
Uh-huh.
won't help you if you don't know how to read a map
Exactly.
or orient yourself in the wilderness.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, before we dive into the real world applications
Okay.
of all this survival knowledge,
Right.
I'm curious, from what we've covered so far, is there a particular skill or concept that stands out to you?
You know, it's funny you should ask that. I was thinking about our conversation last time,
Uh-huh.
specifically the challenge you posed.
Yeah.
If you could only choose 3 items for a personal survival kit, what would they be?
Right.
I've been mulling that over,
Yeah.
and it's harder than it sounds.
It is a thought-provoking exercise, isn't it?
It is.
It really forces you to consider what's truly essential
Right?
in a survival situation.
Yeah.
Not just having the gear,
Mm-hmm.
but understanding why those items are crucial
Right.
and how to use them effectively.
So to get us started, what are your top 3 picks?
Okay.
And more importantly, walk me through your reasoning.
All right. My first choice would have to be a high-quality multi-tool.
Okay.
It's like having an entire toolbox condensed
Right.
into one compact device.
Multi-tool seem to be a recurring theme in all the survival resources we've looked at.
Yeah.
Advanced strategies,
Yeah.
Chase Tactical, even the IOSCM article on military skills all recommend having one.
They're incredibly versatile.
Yeah.
You've got a knife, pliers, saw, screwdriver,
Wow.
and more, all in one handy package.
Yeah.
It could be used for an array of tasks,
Right.
from building shelter to preparing food,
Okay.
even self-defense in a pinch.
Okay. A multi-tool makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What's your second must-have item?
For my second item, I'd choose a reliable fire starter.
Okay.
And I'm not just talking about a box of matches.
Yeah.
I'd go for a ferrocerium rod
Okay.
or a fire steel, something that will work even if it gets wet.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
The Advanced Strategies article really emphasized
Yes.
having multiple fire starting methods
It did.
and being comfortable using them in various conditions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fire is essential
Right.
for warmth, cooking, purifying water, signaling for help.
Right.
It's really a cornerstone of survival.
Right. So far, you've got a multi-tool
Yes.
for its versatility,
Correct.
a fire starter, for its crucial role in staying alive.
Yeah.
What's the third item that rounds out your essential survival kit?
My third pick might surprise you,
Okay.
but I'd choose a high-quality water filter.
Okay.
Remember the rule of threes.
Yes.
We can only survive 3 days without water.
Right.
Finding a water source is one thing,
Yeah.
but ensuring that it's safe to drink is crucial.
That's a really practical choice.
It is.
And it ties back to our conversation about technology.
Mm-hmm.
A water filter is a perfect example of how technology can be a game changer
It is.
in a survival situation.
Yeah, but just like any piece of equipment,
Okay.
you need to know how to use it properly
right.
and understand its limitations.
Yeah.
The 25 Essential Skills article
Okay.
offered some solid advice
Yeah.
on maintaining and troubleshooting a water filter.
Right.
It's not just about having it.
Uh-huh.
It's about knowing how to make it work for you.
So to sum up your choices,
Yes.
a multi-tool for its versatility,
Correct.
A fire starter.
For its essential role in survival.
Right.
And a water filter for ensuring access to clean drinking water.
Yes.
All very practical and well thought out.
Thank you.
Now, I'm really curious. What about you?
Okay.
What 3 items would you pack in your survival kit?
All right. I've given this a lot of thought,
Okay.
and I'm going to approach it from a slightly different angle.
Okay.
If I were in a true survival situation,
Mm-hmm.
shelter would be my top priority.
Okay.
Exposure to the elements can be deadly.
Right.
So my number 1 pick would be a heavy-duty tarp.
Interesting choice.
Yeah.
I can see why you'd prioritize shelter.
Yeah.
A tarp can be used for so many things.
It can.
Creating a shelter.
Yeah.
Collecting rainwater.
Yeah.
Even signaling for help.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's versatile, lightweight, and relatively inexpensive.
Yeah.
Plus, I feel like I could get pretty creative with it, depending on the environment I'm in.
Right.
Adapting it to different terrains and weather conditions.
Yeah.
I like that you're thinking about adaptability.
Yeah.
So what's your second must-have item?
My second pick is going to be something
Okay.
that addresses the psychological aspect of survival.
Okay.
I'd pack a small notebook and a pencil.
Okay, now that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Tell me more about why you'd choose those items.
Well, in a survival situation,
Uh-huh.
it's easy to feel overwhelmed,
Right.
scared, and helpless.
Yeah.
Having a way to write down your thoughts, make
right.
plans,
Uh-huh.
or even just doodle can help you stay calm and focused.
That's a brilliant point.
Yeah.
It's almost like having a tangible way to manage your stress
Right.
and maintain a sense of control.
Right.
It reminds me of the survival psychology section in the IOSCM article,
Okay.
where they talk about the importance of positive self-talk and visualization.
Right.
Yeah.
Writing things down can be a way to channel those thoughts
Uh-huh.
and reinforce a positive mindset.
Exactly.
Plus, if I ever need to leave a message for rescuers,
Yeah.
they'll be prepared.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a simple tool with a deeper psychological purpose.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your third and final item?
All right. This one was a tough call,
Okay.
but I'm going to go with a first aid kit.
Okay.
And not just any first aid kit.
Mm-hmm.
I'd want one specifically tailored to the environment I'm most likely to be in.
That's a smart move.
Yeah.
A first aid kit is essential,
Yeah.
but customizing it to your specific needs
Uh-huh.
shows that you're thinking ahead
Right.
and preparing for the most likely scenario.
Exactly. If I'm in the mountains, I'll need different supplies
Right.
than if I'm in the desert or an urban environment.
Yeah.
It's all about anticipating those challenges.
I'm impressed with your choices.
Yeah.
You've covered shelter,
Mm-hmm.
mental resilience,
Yeah.
and medical preparedness.
Yeah.
And it all fits neatly into a backpack.
Right. It's amazing how much thought goes into building even a basic survival kit.
Yeah, it really is.
And it really highlights the importance of not just having the gear, but understanding how to use it effectively.
It's that combination of knowledge and skills
Right.
that makes all the difference.
Exactly.
Now we've covered mental toughness,
Yeah.
essential skills,
Yeah.
military expertise,
Right.
the role of technology.
Yeah. Right.
Where should we go from here?
Right.
What other aspects of survival haven't we touched on yet?
We've talked about a lot of practical aspects of survival,
Oh,
mental toughness, essential skills, even the role of technology
right.
in both helping and hindering us.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's another layer to this,
Okay.
something we haven't discussed yet.
I think you're getting at the ethical dimension of survival.
The ethical dimension.
Yeah, it's not just about staying alive,
Okay.
but about the choices you make
Right.
and how those choices reflect your values,
Uh-huh.
even in the most extreme circumstances.
It's like the difference between surviving and truly thriving, right?
Well,
Even when things are falling apart. You don't want to lose sight of who you are.
It's about holding on to your humanity,
Right.
even in the face of danger and deprivation.
Okay.
The sources we've looked at touch on this, but it's definitely a complex topic with no easy answers.
The Bear Grylls article, for example,
Okay.
talks about the importance of respect.
Yes.
Respect for the environment,
Mm-hmm.
respect for wildlife,
Right.
even respect for your own limits.
That resonates with me as well.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that survival isn't about conquering nature,
Right.
but finding a way to coexist,
Okay.
even when the odds are stacked against you.
But that can be incredibly challenging, can't it?
It can.
Especially when you're facing extreme hunger or thirst or exhaustion.
Right.
Your instincts might be telling you to do whatever it takes to survive,
Yeah,
even if it means compromising your values.
you're right. And the Essential Skills in Combat article
Okay.
provides some real-world examples of this.
Okay.
There are stories of soldiers having to make incredibly tough decisions
Right.
about resource allocation.
Yeah.
Who gets the last ration of food?
Right.
Who risks going out to search for water?
Yeah.
These are life or death choices
Yeah.
that can weigh heavily on someone's conscience.
And in those moments of extreme pressure,
Yeah,
the line between right and wrong can become blurred.
it can.
It makes me think about the ECR training we discussed earlier.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that in certain survival situations, you might be forced to do things you never thought you were capable of.
It raises an important question. How do we prepare ourselves
Right.
mentally and emotionally to face those situations?
Yeah.
Because it's not just about physical survival.
Right.
It's about moral survival as well.
So it's about having that internal compass to guide you
Yes.
when the external world feels like it's falling apart.
Right.
But how do you actually develop that kind of moral resilience?
It's different for everyone, but I think it starts with self-awareness.
Okay.
Understanding your own values,
Uh-huh.
your strengths and weaknesses, and what you're capable of handling.
Okay.
It might also involve talking to people who faced similar challenges,
Okay.
learning from their experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and exploring different ethical perspectives.
It's almost like having those difficult conversations with yourself beforehand, so
Yes.
you're not caught completely off guard when things get tough.
Right.
Okay, so let's try to apply this ethical framework
Okay.
to some real-world scenarios.
Right.
Let's say you're lost in the wilderness with a group
Okay.
and food is running low.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that situation ethically?
The first step is open and honest communication.
Okay.
Everyone needs to be aware of the situation
Right.
and have a say in how resources are allocated.
Mm-hmm.
It's about working together as a team
Okay.
to find the best solution,
Right.
even when that solution involves making difficult choices.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It goes back to that idea of teamwork we discussed earlier. But in this case, the stakes are even higher.
They are.
You're not just trying to complete a mission.
Right.
You're trying to ensure everyone's survival
Yeah.
while upholding your values.
And that can lead to conflict.
Mm.
People have different ideas about what's ethical
Right.
and what's necessary in a survival situation.
Yeah.
Navigating those conflicts
Uh-huh.
requires strong leadership,
Okay.
empathy, and a willingness to compromise.
It reminds me of the case studies we looked at from the Afghanistan war.
Yes.
Those soldiers were constantly faced with incredibly difficult decisions,
Right.
often with limited information and immense pressure.
And those decisions had consequences,
Yeah.
both in the short term and the long term.
Right?
It underscores the heavy weight of moral responsibility
Uh-huh.
that comes with survival.
Okay, let's shift gears and consider an urban disaster scenario.
Okay.
Let's say there's a major earthquake and you're trapped in your home.
Right.
How do ethical considerations come into play in that situation?
It's still about assessing the situation,
Okay.
prioritizing your needs,
Mm-hmm.
and then thinking about how your actions might impact others.
Okay.
Do you share your limited supplies with your neighbors?
Right.
Do you risk going out to find help, even if it means putting yourself in danger?
Yeah.
And how do you deal with the possibility of encountering people who might not be acting ethically like looters?
These are tough questions.
They are.
And there are no easy answers. It's about weighing the potential consequences of your actions and striving to make choices you can live with,
Exactly.
even under extreme pressure.
It's in those moments of crisis
Yeah.
that our true character is revealed.
So as we wrap up this deep dive on survival skills,
Okay.
what's the one key takeaway you want our listener to remember,
Okay.
especially when it comes to this ethical dimension of survival?
I think it's the idea of informed compassion,
Informed compassion.
making decisions based not just on instinct or fear,
Right.
but on knowledge,
Uh-huh.
empathy, and a deep understanding of how interconnected we all are.
I love that informed compassion.
Yeah.
It's about making choices that not only help you survive, but also make the world a little bit better, even in the most challenging circumstances.
Absolutely. And that's a powerful reminder
Yeah.
that even in the face of danger and uncertainty, we have the ability to choose who we want to be.
Well, on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive.
We have.
We've covered a lot of ground, from the practical skills to the mental game, and now to this ethical dimension of survival.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It has.
And I hope our listener feels inspired to continue exploring these ideas.
Right.
Survival is an ongoing process of learning, adapting, and growing.
To our listener, keep learning, keep practicing those skills, and keep having those tough conversations.
Yes.
With yourself and others.
Right.
The more prepared you are, both mentally and ethically, the better equipped you'll be to not just survive, but thrive in whatever challenges life throws your way.
Stay curious, stay compassionate, and until next time, happy exploring.